start steering, and then it keeps steering into it. That's not normal. Ah, there it is.
Is this on?
Well, let's go. Welcome to my home garage. Pretty stoked to have this thing back here. This is my garage. I've had it for about a year and a half now. This is a 3-car garage that I absolutely love because growing up in Queens, never really had access to garages, worked on cars mostly in the street, in people's backyards, in shared garages, in rented garages that I shared with other buddies. It's kind of rad to finally have my own spot. I did have a cool like 1.5 garage in Queens right before I left that I shared with my buddy Tony Harmer. After that, I had a 2-car garage in Venice, which was cool, but it wasn't my house. It was a place I rented, so I never really went like that deep into modifying it. And this garage is in a house that's probably a forever house for us. We're gonna live here for a long time, so I've been taking my time to kind of really figure out how to set it up and think through it. This is a little storage rack setup, or storage cabinet I should say, like an old card file cabinet. Kind of great. Like I have just a bunch of different stuff. This is like all old switches and everything. Sawzall blades. I haven't labeled any of this stuff, but one of my ultimate goals, just gauges, is to have a home shop that every 5 minutes I don't have to run to the auto parts store, to the hardware store to go get stuff, right? So I eventually want to be able to collect enough stuff so I don't have to leave. I actually just installed this TV the other day so I can watch the stream and be a part of the stream here. Gotta figure out the technology so we can actually get that working while I'm in here working on stuff. Then this is kind of my favorite part of the garage build. This is my French cleat wall, which I will eventually finish and continue down this entire wall here. So what French cleats are, or just a cleat system, you can see it's just two 45-degree angle cuts, and it allows you to, you know, make these different mounts. So that way I can move stuff around, put things in different places. And the reason to do that is I've had enough garages, seen my dad reorganize his workshop enough to know that what you think is going to work today is not going to work tomorrow. As you start working on cars, you start working on any projects, you'll start to realize that where you wanted your tools here, maybe they should have been here instead. This kind of gives me the ability to move stuff around as I figure it out. I made this little rack for all my wrenches. This is all like just basic go-to grab. So, you know, ratchets, metric sockets, some quick hammers, got all the gear wrenches up, just some of the basic kind of screwdrivers and stuff like that. Because this is all modular, so all of this could be moved. So if I wanted to pick this stuff up and move it over here, I could. So like, you know, these are my ratchets. If I want to take my ratchets and put my ratchets here instead, boom, now they're over there. All the rest of the tools are in here and here, and the box is over there. Yeah, I have a lot of tools. So I had a whole set of tools at Hoonigan. I brought all my tools home over the past couple months, mainly because those savages at Hoonigan don't respect other people's tools and lose all their shit, so I brought all my own stuff home. The other thing I built was this. Look, if you're working on cars, you probably don't care as much about woodworking stuff, but if you have a garage, you'll realize that you spend a lot of time doing woodworking stuff to make your garage cooler, which honestly is most of what I do when it comes to woodworking, although we do spend a lot of time fixing up our house too. Oh yeah, by the way, we bought a project house. Our house literally didn't run when we bought it. No, seriously. Plumbing didn't work, electricity didn't work, none of that. So one of the reasons why it's taken me so long to get stuff going this year, and I know there's 1,000 excuses, but is I had to get my house running first. So house is currently running, but this right here was just a quick Took 2 job site tools, so job site, chop saw, and a job site style table saw. Built this system for them so that I can, you know, easily set up to cut bigger sheets of wood. Just makes it a little bit easier having this chop saw built in. You know, got a little toolbox underneath for, you know, different things like saw blades and measuring devices. This actually pulls out, there we go, boom. So that way I can run bigger sheets behind the table saw. I actually spent some time to build this dust collection system. So you guys saw Soupy's. Soupy had a dust collection system kind of similar to this up on his roof. I built this one and it's very similar to his. It uses a collection box, which is basically just this kind of vortex spool right here that spins all the dust. The dust falls in here before it gets to the vacuum cleaner. That way the vacuum cleaner itself or the shop vac isn't just blowing out dust out the backside. I've got different gates on here so I can run it to different pieces, right? So this one goes to this one goes to the chop saw, and then the last one, which is this pipe, actually comes over here. There's just a regular vacuum end to it. So I can just take this and boom, just plug that in there. And now I've got a vacuum for connecting it to whatever I'm working on up here. This is all stuff I need to organize. Like a bunch of different stuff got stuck here. The goal will be to take everything that's here and on the floor and give them all homes in here and boxes and organize that. And then I built this racking system. And this racking system, this whole wall was kind of gross. I re-puttied it and just like kind of skim coated sections of it, just cleaned it up a little bit, painted it white. Eventually I'm gonna paint this a different color, but just primed it. But I built this, it's just like a really simple system that uses 3/4 inch conduit, 2x4s that I ran through the table saw to just give them a flat edge. I put a hole every 4 inches so I can just kind of set this up in a different way. And this is just a really cheap racking system. I also put in a shorter one over there. Eventually I will run a short one every 16 inches on center, just like the standard studs that are behind it. And then all the long ones will run all the way over to the wall so I can store bicycles on the top and then miscellaneous other stuff. Another big problem I had is I had a ton of lumber in the garage. I built this over last weekend, and what you'll see is it's just made of speed rail. If you don't know what speed rail is, a lot of guys just use it for like handrails and stuff, but the production industry loves this stuff. This is like what grips use for building out rigs for cameras and a bunch of different stuff like that. What's cool is I get to continue to adjust it. Like as I built this, I'm even starting to figure out different ways I want to store things. But it lets you put like 2x4s here, plywood there. Anyway, that's the quick on it of the garage. I guess now I should get to work on this. Yo, what's up, bud?
What's up, man?
Not much, man. Just how you holding up?
Decent.
You want to see the garage? I've been working a lot on this.
Yeah. Let's see what's going on there.
So it's actually clean for the first time.
Hey, all right.
You saw the cleat wall stuff that I previously built.
Nice.
Yeah. The Audi's in here. I spent.
What's up with the Audi, man? Have you wrecked on that yet or what?
No, I spent more time building. I built this bike rack. I made this lumber rack. Yeah, I'm starting on the Audi right now.
Wait, Brian, we've been quarantined for 3 weeks. You tell me all you've done is rearrange shit in your garage. You haven't even touched your car.
Dude, it's more than rearrange stuff. I like built a lumber rack. I can't even begin to explain how much it annoys me that I was completely planning on putting in hood pins. That was what I was gonna do. The first thing I was gonna do, I was gonna say, I wanna put hood pins in so I can go test drive the car and not have the hood pop up. Yeah, that looks terribly unsafe, but I'm only going a few blocks. I'm home. Literally driving down my block at like no more than 10 miles an hour. I was driving down my alleyway, which is super bumped out. This massive gust of wind came up, lifted the hood, slammed the brakes, and still popped it. Threw some black tape over it so I don't see it, but also so it doesn't continue to fiber up. So I can try to clean it up. So here we go, hood pins. You know, there's a lot of different style of hood pins out there. This style is my favorite because it's captive. What's nice about these is there's no pins to lose. This just slides over and locks in. This is actually what we run on Ken Block's rally cars. If it's good enough enough for a WRC car. I feel like it's good enough for a semi-street Audi that right now is only got a whopping 160 horse. If they're not locked, it's pretty easy to see that they're not in. You can kind of open them one-handed too, and there's nowhere to have to kind of stash the pins because I lose everything. It comes with these little Phillips head screws and these little backers. That's just what holds this in place. There's no structural element to it. It's just holding it down to the hood. But I don't know. I don't love these. So instead, I opted to get some nut certs and I went and bought hardware for those. Luckily, hardware stores are still essential items, so they were open. I ended up finding these, which are nice little Allen key head. So I'm gonna use those. Unfortunately, I couldn't find metric. It annoys me a lot to put non-metric parts on a metric car, but whatever. I'm probably never gonna have to take those back off again. That's pretty simple. Now just throw that together. Day late and $1 short. If I would have done it the other day, I wouldn't have that to be mad at myself about. And you know that anger, right? Like if you break something on your car because you're out having fun, it's like a battle scar. Like it's totally cool. I've scratched up the 911 running canyons and hitting dips and doing things like that. It's fine. Break your car because you were stupid and you like dropped something on it, did what I did, like not secure your hood properly or like other Hoonigans have done. A couple of them, we kind of have a problem with this, don't we? It's the worst feeling. That's going to bother me forever for the rest of the time I own this car. Anyway, on that, let's get to work on it. That looks like kind of the best rough spot to fit that hole. All right, so I'm gonna need to cut this down because it's quite long. Before I do that, I just wanna make sure I have the right die. And I actually got these because I'm quite a nerd. I'm happy I checked that out because it's actually not metric. It's 7/16 20. Where do we see it? 7/16 20. Boom, we're good to go. All right, so I've marked where I wanted to cut this. And while I do have a die that I can go back and chase this with, the trick is just to put a bolt on before you cut it. All right, so I just put the nut on past where I'm gonna cut so I can back the nut off of it to hopefully fix the threads. I've cleaned this up a little bit with the file and I'll try to back it off. That's perfect. A little tight right there. Just work it out like that. A little tight right there. Generally clean cut. Let's see if it'll thread back on. There we go. So since I do have a die, I figured I'd clean it up anyway. But if you don't have a die, you can just do it the way that I showed before. And usually that works. Just use a file to clean it up a little bit. This will just make it a little bit smoother. By the way, it's not lost on me that I make a lot of videos where I spend a lot of time working on bolts and nuts. I don't really know why. At least this one's not rusty, but still putting the time in. So to transfer the mark, I just took a little bit of paint, put it on the top of that. Now you got a mark. So initially I wanted to go into that hole, but honestly, it just makes more sense to just cut a new hole in the hood because I kind of like where that sits better for where the hood pin would be. It looks a little bit better on the hood. Where it sits here, it ends up living on this slant, which doesn't really make much sense. And if I move it over a little too much, I start getting into the position where the outside of the latch is all the way over to the edge. So I just put some gaff tape on the outside so it doesn't completely blow out. Just gonna hold a block of wood on the back to just give it some pressure. So when the drill bit comes through, it doesn't completely shatter everything there. Boom, that works. Alright, so I got the rivet gun loaded. Just gonna add those up in there. So having never used a rivet gun with such a small size, I kind of He-manned it and pulled the threads a little bit. So just running a tap in there right now, just to clean it up a little bit. This is probably overkill. Most people will probably just run the screws in. Probably should have just ran drywall screws. Boom, that's on. Take this little piece of tape off so it looks finished. There it is. Pretty stoked how it came out. Well, on the next episode of Home Wreckers, I'll do the other side. Boom, I I successfully accomplished the most complicated hood pin install of all time. I'm pretty sure I completely overcomplicated that, but whatever. I enjoyed putting them in. Kind of happy with how they turned out. Probably didn't need rib nuts. Anyway, next time it's all about fixing the steering issues that I created with this device that someone else created for me. So a fellow 5-cylinder Audi buddy made this for me after I gave him the specs, and this replaces the stamped steel version that's in there, and hopefully will put things in a much better position. I had to space it out in a bad way, which I think changed the Ackerman. That's not normal. Let's see that again. Oh, that's in the center. This replaces something in there that looks like this. So nice little bit of machinery here. Next time, put that on, take it for another spin, and then probably lift it up onto some jack stands. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to pull the rear out because I gotta change the wheel bearings. You know, dumb me. 14 years ago, when I was working on this car, I couldn't afford new wheel bearings, so I just packed the old wheel bearings back in with my new 5-lug S2 swap. Yeah, turns out those wheel bearings are bad. Go figure, car's 140,000 miles. Yeah, and then just kind of work out the rest of the suspension. It's making a lot of weird noises, and I'm sure I'll make additional progress on stuff in the garage. So anyway, we'll get into that next episode. Don't forget, next week, Knuckle Busters Season 2, diesel powered. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be a ton of power. It's probably one of the coolest cars we've ever built. Enjoy that. And also, I promised a bunch of you on Instagram I would throw up a playlist of all my favorite 90s hip hop songs. Since we can't actually use licensed music anymore on YouTube, I've been throwing it on my Instagram stories, but I made a little playlist. It's on Spotify. Check the description for it so you can enjoy that OG 90s boom bap. Anyway, on that note, next home wreckers, more progress on this. Oh, home wrenchers. Keep saying home wreckers. By the way, I also have a bicycle problem. If you haven't noticed, bike here, bike there. Both of those are for sale if you want them. A lot of bikes up over there, more bikes there. I don't know, about half of them run. So, as you can see, this is more of a theme than anything else.